that's what I'm really loving the most right now about manifesting and law of attraction, and is that your brain is a printer and its job is to print or manifest what you give it. So that means then your responsibility is to feed your brain, and to feed it deliberately, intentionally and on purpose. To feed it like the thoughts that you intend to manifest, because that's what's happening. Things are just not appearing out of coincidence or luck. There's no such a thing as coincidence or luck. What's happening is your brain is thinking the same thought over and over again, which is basically a belief. That's what a belief is. It's a thought that you keep thinking over and over. And if you keep thinking that, you're going to experience it. Sometimes we say, I believe it when I see it, but that's backwards. We'll see it when we believe it is the right way, because what it means is nothing manifests by mistake. It's coming from the thoughts that you've got, and half the time it is subconsciously, because we call it the monkey mind, where our mind's just working on automatic pilot, and half the time we're not aware of what we're thinking because it's such a habit. But when you look at the kind of rhythms and the patterns and the sameness and the experiences that you're having, you'll see that what links them, what connects them, is the thought behind it. And it's then up to you. That's if you decide that you want to. It's up to you to take responsibility for the thoughts that you're thinking, and then decide to intentionally and deliberately choose the thoughts that feel better. Abraham calls it pivoting. So what that means is always choose the thought that feels better. Pivoting. It's just making a movement in the thought, which then makes a movement in the emotion. But the thing that's amazed me the most is how simple it is. Because I first learned law of attraction when I was 20, and at the time I thought it was quite complex, and I thought that it would be quite complicated to understand. But now I realise that it's about the beliefs that you're thinking. That's what's creating every experience and circumstance and event that you live and experience. And behind the beliefs is a bunch of thoughts that you're repeating on a daily basis. So then, if you like what you're experiencing, that's amazing. Just keep thinking the way you've been thinking. You don't really need to change anything. But if you think, I don't really like the experiences that I'm having, the events that are occurring, circumstances and situations that I've found myself in, then it just means that you can do something really good for yourself, and that is just look closely at the thoughts that you've been thinking. Look at them and you'll see that they're all quite similar, and that's called momentum, because normally if you think one bad thought about something, then you're likely to think one bad thought about something else. It's basically momentum. Like if you roll a ball down a hill, it won't stop, it'll keep going down the hill. And that's the same as your thoughts. So if you're complaining about something, you'll see that you've got 5 more things to complain about that day. It's like a radio signal, you're giving it a radio signal. You're like an antenna, if you like, so you're radiating frequencies, and the frequencies that you're radiating out are the thoughts that you think, and then what's coming back to that is matching that vibration on an energetic level and also emotional level. So then that means that the only work then that's there to do is that you must be intentional about what you're thinking, and you must be deliberate about what you're thinking. And it's not just something you do once and then that's it set. I used to think that. I used to think, if I just do that for one day, that'll be it. No, it's every day. It's moment to moment. But then the choice is, do you want to have a good life, or do you want to have an average life? And the difference is in the thoughts that you're thinking. If you just let your mind do whatever it does on its own, unattended, unsupervised, you'll come up against like all sorts of random things, like random circumstances, random events, random experiences, and half the time none of it will make any sense because you're not thinking intentionally and deliberately. You're just letting your mind run riot, if you like. But if you wake up and have like a morning routine and decide that you're going to think on purpose and you're going to think deliberately because you want to intend to have a good day. I mean, who doesn't want to have a good day? We all want to have a good day. But the difference is the person that's got up that morning and have decided to think specific thoughts and direct their thoughts intentionally. It is difficult at the beginning. It is difficult because if you go to the gym but you've not been there for a while, you won't be excited, you won't be jumping for joy to go there. It'll be a struggle, it'll be hard, it'll be intense, it'll be tiring. But see, once you've been there 5 days that week, on the 6th day you'll be like, this is easier. And then by the 9th, 10th, 11th day, you're doing it without thinking about it. And that's the same with your brain. Your brain's a muscle. And if you feed it the right thoughts for the right amount of time, which could be a few days, then in a few days' time you'll be thinking those thoughts without even trying, and that's you building the momentum. So I would suggest to start off with like a nice umbrella affirmation. The one that pops to mind is, isn't it wonderful? So if you're just saying that in a relaxed kind of manner and tone, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? And you don't need to say it out loud. You're just saying that in your own mind. Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? What you're doing when you're doing that is you're not allowing your brain to think the like panic thoughts that you were thinking before. Thoughts of like lack and dread and guilt and anger. Because you can't think two thoughts simultaneously. So if you're directly saying, I'm going to be thinking these umbrella affirmations, and you're doing it, like you're mentally doing it, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful? You're not leaving any gap or space for the other low vibrational thoughts to come in. There's no room for them because you're filling up your brain with isn't it wonderful? And then what eventually happens is the momentum builds, and now you're having a good day. You're having a better day than what you had yesterday. And then in 2 days' time you're having an even better day. So that's probably my biggest realisation, because I've been I've been learning law of attraction for a good 10 years, and the thing that's came to me in the past year is that this is bloody simple. It's so simple. Even though there is a million different strategies and books and lessons and coaches and teachers, I've realised, because I've been to a lot of these coaches and teachers, what I've realised is none of it is necessary. None of it is necessary. I don't regret it, obviously, because everything's a path and it's a journey. But the biggest thing that I've realised is that it's not necessary, because the key to life is repetition. And that's, you don't need to go on a course to do repetition. You don't need to see a coach. You don't need to get extra lessons. You don't need to fly abroad to go to a retreat centre. The key to life is repetition. And it's remembering that your brain is a printer, and its job is to manifest what you give it. So see, as long as you give it good thoughts, positive thoughts, intended, deliberate thoughts, that's going to be printing out a good life for you. And that makes me so happy that I've realised that, because we've been built to overcomplicate everything, and it's like the easiest thing in the world. So yeah, my key word for the day is repetition.